Welcome to another instructional video for Bakke Graduate University students. This video should help you to understand how to format your papers for your BGU classes. This video will focus on the APA formatting style, but please keep in mind that BGU's version of APA differs slightly from perhaps other versions you've used in the past. My name is Dr. Judy Melton, and I'm the registrar for BGU. The paper template can be obtained by logging into Populi and going into the online library. Just click on the search button and type in paper template and go, and you'll find the paper template right there. Just download it and you can start using it. Let's begin with some of the main formatting requirements for APA papers. All fonts should be Times New Roman, 12 points, 1-inch margin on all pages, a 1.5 left margin if your project is going to be bound. The first level heading is in all caps, centered and bold. The second level heading is bold and centered. The third level heading should be left aligned. The third level heading is left align, bold and italics, and the whole document is double spaced. Remember that each paragraph begins with a 1/2 inch indentation on the first line, no extra spaces between paragraphs, no running header, and nothing should be full justified, both right and left margins. It should only be justified on the left. In addition to these basic formatting requirements, other components are required in every project you submit for your BGU classes, starting with the title page. Again, BGU does not use the running header that you may have used in other versions of APA. All of the formatting for the title page is already included in the paper template. Just write over the items in brackets, but don't forget to remove the brackets in your final paper. Also note that there should not be a page number at the bottom of the title page. If there is, that means the section break is missing and needs to be added at the end of the title page. The second requirement is the table of contents. All of the headings have been marked throughout the paper template, so they will automatically update into the contents page. If you're unsure about how to use your automatic update feature, please watch the instructional video that addresses the topic of the table of contents. The next requirement would be an abstract if you were writing a dissertation or thesis, but for your course projects, that requirement is not necessary. Instead, we start with Chapter 1, which will contain your book reviews. You'll note that the first page of Chapter 1 asks you to list all of the books you have read, including the number of pages of those books you actually read. If you do not include this page in your book reviews, your professor will return your project to you until it is completely correct. He or she needs to know what books you've read and how many pages of each, since we only require 6 book reviews per class. At the bottom of that first page, you are also verifying that the work contained in the project is your original work. The paper template also includes examples of the formatting requirements for referencing books, journals, etc. The first thing you'll do is change the heading that's in the paper template that normally reads Book Review Number 1 to the title of the book that you've read. Notice that the first time an author is mentioned, you are to include the year of the publication in parentheses just following the author's name. Then if your quote is within the same paragraph as your first reference, all you must include is the page number. For more specifics about how to add references using the EndNote program, please view the instructional video on that topic. The next chapter in your project will probably be your journal. The paper template is already formatted, but you will need to change the dates on the second level heading. The X's just represent where your paragraph or the content will appear. The third chapter is usually your individual project. It is extremely important that every work or author cited in the text is cited in a list on the pages of references in the section following the body of text. Your reference section fully acknowledges the work of the sources cited in your paper and should contain only references cited in your paper. In the paper template, I've added some examples and some additional instructions about how to reference properly. You may want to keep a clean copy of the paper template for future reference and create a new document that erases all of my little hints and directions. Call it something different. Let's look at the format for lists. For APA, the list should be double-spaced, hanging indent 0.25, and if your list is written in complete sentences, then you can capitalize the first word of the sentence and add punctuation at the end. However, if the list contents are incomplete sentences, use lowercase letters to start and no punctuation. Also, you may use bullets instead of numbers, but you must remain consistent throughout your paper. In other words, if you start with numbers, it's numbers throughout. If you start with bullets, it should be bullets throughout. Our next example is formatting a block quote. Again, double-spaced and indented 1/2 inch. I have also included some additional instructions on the paper template for block quotes. Let's look at a table. In this slide, you can see that the word table with the number of the table is bold and in 10-point font. The title of the table is not bolded and just italicized. In APA format, the title of the table should be in sentence structure. In other words, the first letter is capitalized, but not the remaining words. For a more detailed description of how to create tables and figures and to create the illustrations page, please refer to the instructional video on that topic. Let's move to your references page. Margins will remain consistent with the rest of your paper, but here are some other rules. Use the alphabetical order, A to Z, by the author's last name or surname. Only the author's last name is spelled out. For the first and middle names, use initials as shown here. The indentation is hanging indent style, that is, the first line of each reference is aligned flush with the left margin, but the second line is indented 1/2 inch. Double space the entire list of references. Remember, once you've changed all the headings and subheadings in your paper, go back and regenerate your table of contents and illustrations page if you created one. If you have any questions about the paper template or formatting, please feel free to contact me at judy.melton@bgu.edu.